Hey, you guys. Don't see my face in here much, mostly because I be looking a mess. But thank you for joining Artistry Academy community. First of all, thank you for being patient. Second of all, with me trying to figure out what I exactly want this to be and try to make sure that everybody's voices is heard, so that it's not just what I want it to be, but what you guys need. So, in 10 weeks of biz planning, this is week 1. And I wanted to do this because when we get down to Q4, everybody's scrambling. Everybody's trying to figure out, okay, next year is my year. What do I need to do in order to actually make that true? And we do this every year, and we get stuck in this rabbit hole. Hamster wheel is what my brain was trying to say, but my mouth said something differently. And we just never get off the damn wheel. So if we start out Q4 or in Q4 on a good note, and on a productive note, so planning out things to get us ready for that January 1st doesn't creep up on us, we'll all be in a better space. So these 10 weeks pretty much came from me writing down what I'm gonna do the last 10 weeks of Q4. And then I kind of broadened it out into a call to action that could be this general enough for everybody to participate in. So I won't hover. I'm gonna put these things out there. I'm gonna share what I'm doing. I do want you guys to join in, because how are we all gonna grow if we're not actually participating and doing the things doing things better that we... Sorry, I'm getting all types of notifications. I'm like a squirrel over here. Okay, anyway. So, this is week 1. And I'm going to drop one of these every Monday. Might not look like this. Even now, okay, whatever. Week 1, determine your goals and priorities by reflecting on the rest of the year. So, 2019, what did that look like for you? You started off January. We were like, this is my year. These are the things I'm going to accomplish. We do vision boards. You put all types of stuff on social media. We determine what our word is for the year. All these types of things. And then by March or May, all that crap's out the window. I personally did better this year. I'm bad at it normally. Talk. And I won't say all talk, but usually I'm able to go really hard on one of those things when my list had 10. So now let's narrow the list down. I don't know if you guys have ever seen people talk about how to structure a to-do list, and it should never have more than 5 things on them, and 3 of them are top, I have to get these done, and the other 2 are if I don't get to it, those can wait till tomorrow. No more than 5 things on your to-do list. Same thing here. Your vision board can be broad, and okay, I guess there's a difference between a vision board and a goals board, or a plan, honestly. So the thing that I changed this year, instead of doing big fancy pretty vision boards, because I'm a visual person, I focused way more on what it looked like instead of what was on there. I did this. So that list is actually 6 months. So I broke mine down in 2 parts. Last December, I started my vision board, wrote down, I don't even know how many things, but I still have it. It was pretty similar to that, the ones in the black writing. Wrote down all the things that I wanted to accomplish this year. And it went from anything to working out twice a day, to taking 1 day off a month, 1 real off day a month, reading, I believe it was 1 book a month, things like that. It wasn't all business related. I had a goal of saving $6,000, either $5,000 or $6,000 this year. I actually hit that goal really early, and then ended up needing to use it. But I hit the goal because I was working the plan, right? So, and then around July, end of June, early July, I did another one. Reevaluated what was on my list. Are those things still priority? Probably not. Not all of them, at least, because, stuff changes. So I wrote a new one, and now I'm working off that one, and until the end of this year. So Q4, I start working on the one for next year based on my reflection and my review of the past 12 months. But working on updating it from the last one because I've already updated my first one. So what I'm going to be doing for this week is sitting down and going through both of those lists of things that I wanted to accomplish this year. The reason I'm going to go through both of them is because there was probably something on that first one that I did last year or, for the beginning of the year that I didn't get to in those first 6 months. So I kind of pivoted, but that doesn't mean I don't want to do it. So let's revisit that and see if I can work that out for 2020, right? What else? Money stuff. Now, when I'm saying determine your goals and priority, we talking about everything. So I need to call through my finances, which I've also been better at doing every 6 months. So working with a virtual assistant to create spreadsheets of my overhead and business expenses, revenue, all those types of stuff, so that I have something to look at. I know my weaknesses. Numbers are my weaknesses. Creative words, all that types of stuff. But numbers are my weaknesses. So when I'm stressed out about it, I just don't want to look at it. So I'm handing that process over to someone else so that they can put it together. And I don't have the anxiety of like putting it together and then looking at it. Now I just got to worry about looking at it. And by that time, it is what it is. So we're talking about determining our goals in our business. We're talking about health and fitness goals. And we're talking about financial goals, business and personal. So week 1, think and be honest with yourself, because that's the hard part too, about what's realistic. Not to say that there shouldn't be anything on this list that is look crazy, because most of what we're doing is crazy, so go right ahead. But determine your goals and your priorities by reflecting on the past 12 months. Go back a little bit into 2018 if you have to. I forgot what year it was for a second. Yeah, we're going into a new decade. That's nuts. We cannot do this the same way we did the last decade. So let's do this right. I really want y'all to do this with me. And I'll be sharing some sneak peeks into, obviously I'm not going to give you my whole list, but if there's any crazy things that make my list, I promise I'll share for you guys to hold me accountable. And also just to see that write it down. You never know it was some things on that first list I made. There were some things on there that I had no idea I think I put my biggest one, because moving into full-time entrepreneurship was like weird for me. Though I always operated my business like I was full-time. Like there were people forever that was like, oh, I want to work with you and your team. And I'm like, what team? It's just me. So I've always operated on that high level and held my business to that level of respect. But where was I going with that? But moving into full-time entrepreneurship was weird for me. And even now, like, I have not too much time on my hands, because obviously there's always something to be done. Like, let's not even go there because I'll start ranting. But I'm like, okay, I have this level of freedom that I didn't have before, which I did. I did not take any of my 9 to 5s very seriously. But as far as like really, really having control over everything, and one of the things that I put down on that list that was a little crazy for me personally was travel. Up until the beginning of this year, I had never been on a plane as an adult. I had when I was a child. Went to LA every summer for most of my childhood. But besides that, and it's not the same. Like as an adult, I hadn't been anywhere that wasn't within like driving distance, and I don't really like to drive, so I'm talking 4 hours tops. Chicago, Kentucky, and I have family there, so it was always like, like family is vacation, but it's still family. There's some work involved. So I had never really been on a vacation for one. We didn't take family vacations for real. I don't know. It was just like, okay, this sounds crazy. I want to travel. That don't even sound possible. I don't got no money. I ain't have a passport. And then all of these things popped up. I went to the Bahamas. I think the first trip I took was Dallas. That's to most of y'all. That's probably not a big deal. First time on a plane by myself, and first time on a plane as an adult. I'm an anxious person. I like being alone, so it wasn't the traveling alone part. It was the being on a plane and like being in the airport with a bunch of people, like all of that just terrified the crap out of me. So I did that, and then the next trip I took, I went out of the country for the first time. Got a passport within 2 weeks. So it was all like the beginning of this year for me was I was reading Shonda Rhimes' Year of Yes, which is on my bookshelf over there. And I felt like she was dragging me the whole time. So what I had to do was just like take her advice. When Brooke Sanders reached out to me to do Mimosas and Master Plans in Dallas, I didn't even think about it. I didn't have the money to go. I didn't have a way to buy a flight. I ain't had no credit, I had no credit card. I didn't have flight points. I didn't have money, like nothing. Had never been on a plane, had never stayed in a hotel by myself. I might have done that before. But she asked and I said yes, because I'm the type of person that if I have too much time to think about it, I'm going to talk myself out of it. At least that's who I was when that came up. So I spent the beginning of the year training myself to not overthink opportunities. Obviously, there's a level of like, okay, does this align with what I'm wanting to do? Does this person have an audience that can benefit from me and that I can benefit? Like, obviously, there's some strategic yeses, but there's also just like those yeses that I haven't done it before. How am I ever going to know? I can't say no to it. So let me just jump and do it. And obviously we're not jumping off cliffs here. These are little molehills. But those types of things that were on my list, I went to Vegas this year. Shout out to Jance. I went to Vegas this year. I had been to Vegas as a child, but who takes a child to Vegas? I don't know why I was there as a child. My grandmother was a huge, like she was good on the slot machine. So there was, reason for us to be there. She always won. But I went to Vegas. I went to the Bahamas. I went to Dallas, Atlanta. I do that pretty often though. But I think that was my first time to Atlanta on a plane. Like, that seems small to y'all, but the fact that I wrote it down and made it real, like I would have, if I didn't write it down and take my goals and my priority list so real, those things probably would have never happened, because I would have just kept being like, oh, I don't have time, or I don't have the money, or I can't do that by myself, all those types of things. So this week we are for real like digging into what are our goals, no matter how crazy they sound. What are our priorities, because we can't really achieve those goals if we're letting everything else interfere. And then we want to reflect and review on the past year. Hype yourself up. What were you able to accomplish? Even if you didn't get through half of the stuff on the list, what were you able to accomplish? I think that's like super huge for women, especially for Black people, especially. We starting to now. Like, you can't really keep Black people down too long right now. As far as like, life goals, accomplishments type things. But hype yourself up for a little bit. Recognize what you were able to accomplish. Don't dwell on what you weren't able to check off. Dwell on, this is what I was able to do, and I did that damn well. And now let me see what I wasn't able to check off. Can I move that, to a place where now that I'm in a better space, I can't handle that, and I can get that done. So that's what we're doing this week. I did not mean to go off on this fucking tangent. I did not mean to curse either. Still working on myself, y'all. So, and then a book. So I one of the things that was on my list that I'm trying to figure out if it still counts as me checking it off was me reading a book a month. Not a hold a physical book read type person. Just because I've struggled with like dyslexia. You can hear it in the way I talk. My brain moves way faster than my mouth. And I struggled with dyslexia, or a small form of it, obviously. I know there are some people that like really, really struggle with it. But long story short, I'm a really slow reader, slow to comprehend. that doesn't necessarily stop me from reading, but that was a huge goal to say read 1 book a month. So then I tried out Audible, loved it. Some of those people need to change the voice out of reading their books. But you know, obviously that counts, but I did not stick to the goal of reading 1 book a month. Now I'm trying to decide if like writing the book qualifies. Like, does that just cancel out all the other stuff that, well, whatever. Figure out what all those things mean to you. Write it down so that we can work the steps to making it real. Obviously, I do want you to focus not more on, but at least for the purposes of the group, to share what your business ones are. I don't necessarily need to know, you know, any of the personal weird stuff, but let's figure out what your goals and your priorities are regarding your business. Reflect and review of what you did do well last year and didn't do well. Be real with yourself. Don't be afraid to put some crazy stuff on there. Share the crazy stuff with us so we'll probably tell you that's not really that crazy because I did that, or I know that person that did that. And if they can do it, you can do it. So let me shut up again. I can't wait to see what y'all are able to reflect on this week and able to write down. Again, this is from the last 6 months, so I'm going to go over what's on there, at least what's appropriate to share. I don't think there's anything inappropriate, but the first thing I looked at was something I did not get done. So I'm gonna be real about that, and I'm gonna share with y'all. Yeah, let's check in on Friday, Saturday, somewhere around there. So to give you guys some time to just kind of come back in the group this weekend and check in, and we can hype each other up. And it might be something that somebody that you don't identify in yourself as a goal or a priority, or something that you think you should be doing, or that you'd be good at, that somebody else might point out for you. So just feel free to share. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. Bye.